midfield, as I said. They're not quite sure whether to come out from the back and mark. And he is really causing them problems at the moment. And as I said, they've got quality in there, Ian, in the midfield area. And if Scotland don't sort things out quickly, then, you know, Northern Ireland will hold on to the ball. And eventually, if you give good quality players time and space, they can hurt you.
Now passes long ball. 10 minutes gone here. Still waiting for the first goal. We've seen some nice patterns from Northern Ireland, and the only real chance, or half chance, from McCoist for Scotland. Donachie to Colin Clark. Northern Ireland just about retained possession. Clark, good turn from him. Here's Black. Kingsley Black, not everything's gone swimmingly for him since his £1.5 million move to Nottingham Forest. And this is going to stay in play for McCoist. It does. The early ball for him, it was aimed towards right, away from Worthington.
The only problem with his ball in Alan McCoist there is it was aimed towards right. Keith Wright wanted it played in front of him, wanted it there so he could go and attack it. Alan McCoist didn't quite produce the ball he wanted, and he hit it straight at him, and it just gave the defenders time to get back in.
So Scotland have a corner on this left-hand side. Big Dave McPherson's coming up there. McCoist is on the line, Goff's up there too. Here comes the corner, and it's on, and a goal by McCoist. Nodded on the near post, straight from the training ground by McPherson, and Ali McCoist has got his 11th goal for Scotland, and this fellow can do absolutely nothing wrong this season.
Oh, when strikers are hot, they're hot, Ian, and that man in the picture is as hot as you can get for striking. A basic near post corner, and when you play them in there with quality, doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter how many defenders you put in there. It's very, very difficult to defend, and you also can't give a man like Ali McCoist that much space.
I tell you what, there'll be some inquests in that Northern Ireland dressing room about that.
Yeah, well, what you do when you defend near post corners, Ian, is invariably very few people score straight from the first touch. So you get players to defend the second ball. Northern Ireland didn't defend the second ball. Alan McCoist was left in acres of space, and it was a simple job of just putting his head to it and nodding it into the net.
Here's McAllister. Henry Smith of Hearts, what a big night for him. It didn't go too well for him when he played against Saudi Arabia on his debut. It was a 2-2 draw. He only played 45 minutes. Didn't have the greatest of games, I think, even by his own admission. And would love to establish himself as Andy Goram's #2 and get on that plane to Sweden.
I do think there's a gap there for Henry as well. He's played that well, and I don't think anyone is... Scottish goalkeeper that has just come out and said, well, I'm the second best goalkeeper in Scotland at the moment. That gap is still there.
Struck from McClare here. And a half chance for the man who's never scored for Scotland, amazingly enough. And there was another mistake in that Northern Ireland defence.
Yeah, 19 caps and no goals, but this was almost his first. Another mistake from the Irish defence, but once again, Donachie to the rescue.
Here's the corner kick. Comes in long, and this time McDonald gets it away. And McAllister just hitting that a little bit too long. Well, Scotland will be buoyed up by that nice early goal. That's going to settle them. And one or two people I know, mind you, they were all Glaswegians, predicting 5-0 wins and the like for Scotland tonight.
Oh, well, the eternal optimist is Scots up here, honestly. They really are. We even thought we could beat Costa Rica.
Yeah, they're the ones you've got to worry about in that World Cup group, you know, Malta and Estonia. So, Tommy Wright, the Northern Ireland goalkeeper. It's Gary McAllister. He's always a stylish, classy figure in the middle of the pitch. Jerry Taggart, Barnsley, one of the youngsters that Billy Bingham's been trying to bring through. He's only 21. Strachan takes the free kick. And that was disappointing to say the least. Danny Wilson. Here to Donachie. And now MacDonald. Up towards Colin Clark. He's got Kevin Wilson there in support. Good ball to find Kingsley Black over on this right-hand side. Northern Ireland could certainly do with Kingsley Black turning on a bit of the magic tonight. And Kevin Wilson was onside, and it bounced off his back rather unluckily for him.
Those are the little areas I was talking about before the game, Ian, where Scotland are playing only the 3 defenders and their full-backs push forward. Those little gaps that Kevin Wilson got himself there. Scotland have got to be careful when they're defending them. Northern Ireland have probably had more of the ball than Scotland at the moment, but what Scotland have done is when they've got it, they've looked forward, they've looked to go forward early, and they've looked more threatening.
Scotland 1, Northern Ireland 0, and the goal scorer, well, you might have guessed it, mightn't you? Ali McCoist. Not too much threat so far from Northern Ireland. Clark wins this one, and Robertson, who's had a nice steady start there at left back, gets it back to his goalkeeper. So let's go down to our touchline reporter, David Livingston, who I think has some news for us.
Ian, you mentioned a steady start there, quiet start for David Robertson, but he's under instruction from Craig Brown in the dugout to move forward in more decisive fashion, and that goes along with what Andy Roxburgh was telling us yesterday about Scotland trying to develop a left-sided attacking policy with players like him and Keith Wright, and I think we can expect to see David Robertson making more runs forward to the goal line area.
Thank you, David. Yes, I know Andy Roxburgh was feeling that Scotland are too right-sided. It's the right side they go through now with Strachan. This is a good run from him. And here's McCoist again. But MacDonald gets there, and that was an important ball. He had to win it and did.
Well, 35 years of age, but what a magnificent run from little Gordon Strachan. Under tremendous pressure, but produces a magnificent ball that Alan MacDonald does very, very well to get ahead to and clear the danger.
Robertson's long throw in there. On by right. McCoist on the turn. Northern Ireland, without looking too convincing, get it away. Little Michael Hughes of Manchester City, he's only 20. Second cap for him tonight. Comes from Larne. Some people used to say rather unkindly that the only good things that came out of Larne was the ferry to Stranraer, but Mickey Hughes is another.
Yeah, an old mate of mine who's now manager at his club, Peter Reid, I know thinks very highly of him and thinks he has a great future.
Now MacDonald. Up to Kevin Wilson. Nigel Worthington, fixture, of course, in this Northern Ireland side. And Danny Wilson. Of course, Northern Ireland have Ian Dowie on the bench. He played in all their European Championship qualifiers, and he's had a hard time lately with Southampton, which I suppose might be the reason why Billy Bingham left him out from the start. But I think we'll see him before the game's out tonight.
Well, it's an ideal opportunity for both managers, isn't it, to put on as many subs as they want and really try people and give them a run out.
Now pass. Nodded on well, that by right, and here's McAllister breaking through. Gary McAllister, he's only got 1 goal so far, and that was 2 years ago for Scotland. But this is a nice breakthrough, Andy.
It's a classic link-up with a midfield player getting ahead of the ball, joining up with striker, and Gary McAllister very good at that. A lot of people think he just sits there in midfield, but he picks his runs well. He times them going forward. That one timed to perfection, just to finish it, let him down.
Tommy Wright, the Northern Ireland goalkeeper, who's also a champion cross-country runner, or used to be anyway. Just over 20 minutes gone. Scotland 1, Northern Ireland 0. Scorer McCoist. The supporters here tonight. It's not the biggest crowd Hampden Park has ever seen, but they'll be pleased by that early Scotland goal. This is not long. Colin Clark trying to knock it on. Drops to Kingsley Black. Gough gets it away. And once some more, Gough blocking the shot. And that, oh, just whipping wide of the post there from Jimba Jordan.
Well, he tried just earlier, got blocked, came back to him, and he had another goal. There it is, it gets blocked. Richard Gough gets a foot in. The ball comes back to him, thinks of nothing else but shooting. Henry Smith looked very worried.
Almost a nasty moment this for the new boy goalkeeper. Not that he's much of a boy, of course, at 35. Now McAllister. Chance here for Scotland to do something on the counter if they're quick enough. Ireland have already got a lot of men back, and it's a good ball. That Strachan picking out McCoist. Beautiful diagonal pass again from Strachan. And McCoist with the cross. Comes in, it's going a long way. It almost reached Strachan. Away by MacDonald. Scotland still looking to create something. Gary McAllister of Leeds United again to his teammate Gordon Strachan. Strachan's cross. And once again, the head of MacDonald gets it away. No doubt about it, Scotland look to have more punch about them, Andy.
Oh, definitely. As I said, Northern Ireland more of the ball possession-wise, but Scotland have certainly looked more dangerous when they've gone forward.
There's McAllister again. Starting to be an increasing influence in the middle of the pitch. Now Strachan. And that looked like a foul it is.
I think there's a man there that would have disagreed with that. Little Danny Wilson doesn't think it was a free kick.
Yeah, you can be the ref there. Free kick for Scotland. And they've got all the big men forward for it. Pearson's up again. Gough's in there as well. So too's McCoy, so too's Wright. There's a whole lot of them they can aim this for. In the end, it's McPherson who wins it, and MacDonald gets it away.
It's always difficult to mark players like David McPherson at set pieces. He's just so tall. You do get some players who don't jump their height, Ian, but David McPherson certainly climbs very well at set pieces.
Scotland 4 corners, Northern Ireland 0. That tells a bit of a story, but the real statistic that matters is 1-0 in goals. Again, they go for the near post. This time Colin Clark, the striker's back to get it away. Now McKimmie. And then Malpass to Strachan. And now with the eccentric diet of bananas and porridge and goodness knows what else to keep him going. But he knows what's best for his body, and it obviously works.
I better get on that starting tomorrow, I think. See the wee man after the game and get that off him.
We'll have to ask him what brand of porridge, won't we?
There's only one brand of porridge.
Now, Malpass coming forward from the back. Northern Ireland retreating. Just about everybody back except Colin Clark for Northern Ireland. As Strachan gets this on the far side. The 1-2 play. Kevin Wilson was the man back to get that away. Nominally a striker. Lots of Scottish pressure. Pearson coming forward from the back. Now McAllister. And Malpass, he's got Robertson wide, uses him. Lots of men in the penalty area. The cross is effective enough, and once again McPherson wins it. It drops very dangerously. There were appeals for a handball there against MacDonald. Referee was well placed, doesn't give it. Still Scotland though. Robertson. The turn by McClare, and still he can't break his down.
Well, that's been a super little bit of play from Scotland. For about the last 5 minutes, they've had the Irish team on the rack, and Alan MacDonald, I thought initially very fortunate to get away with this. David McPherson that climbs and nods it down, and that looks to me like a handball.
Well, the finger of suspicion points at Alan MacDonald, but he's got away with it. It's touch and go. Certainly seemed to be the hint of an arm movement there. Been nearly all Scotland in this first half so far. But what can Northern Ireland do here now? Here's Michael Hughes. And he's run it out of play. Mickey Hughes, who made his debut in the 2-1 defeat in Denmark. And right the way through the system. Youth player, under 16, under 18, under 21. And now the full squad. Colin Clark. Jolton turning nicely and finding Kingsley Black, who had a bit of space there, and Goff did well, but it's not away yet. Kevin Wilson trying to find a way through. Just occasionally little flashes of something from Northern Ireland, but here Scotland on the counter with Strachan. Still Strachan, and that's a free kick.
That's Gordon Strachan using his football brain there. What you always try and teach players to do when they've got the ball and they're one-on-one like that is come across the chasing defender, because there's only one thing he can do there, and that's bring you down. That's experience for you.
So once again, a free kick in an almost identical position to the one a couple of minutes ago, when Scotland did create a bit of havoc. Goff's in there, McPherson's in there. Strachan, though, elects to play this one short, and it doesn't work out, because Hughes covers well. Robertson is going over to the right-hand side to take the long throw-in. Wins it on the turn from right, bouncing around dangerously and cool as you like. From Alan McDonald.
Well, just for a second, Keith Wright must have thought, this is my big chance at dropping his favourite left foot to volley that, but very cool defending from Alan McDonald. It's been a good first half for Scotland so far, Ian. They've allowed Ireland a lot of possession, but they haven't allowed them to threaten an awful lot. On the other hand, when Scotland have had the ball, they've looked very, very dangerous.
So Northern Ireland with a rare chance in this first half to exert a bit of pressure. Danny Wilson easy away by McPherson, only as far as Donachie. Strachan busy, buzzing as always in that midfield. Northern Ireland pick this one up again. Here's Majolton. Jim Majolton, who spent 4 seasons in Liverpool reserves and was Oxford United's Player of the Year last season. Ten minutes to go in this first half. Scotland still leading by a goal to nil as McAllister plays this one forward, and MacDonald, who's won an awful lot in the air, gets it again. David Robertson's long throws are a new weapon with his introduction to the team.
No great height in there, though, unless someone comes up from the back, and it does look like Richard Goff is making his way up.
This time they do throw it long, and Goff is the one who's in there, and he was pushing Donald, and that will be a free kick to Northern Ireland. Richard Goff, born in Stockholm, his mum's Swedish, so he might not be feeling too homesick at the European Championships. Picks that up and then finds McClare. Some of Scotland's movement quite sweet. Here's McClare. Gets the cross in well, and Tommy Wright got down well, and his handling was fine.
What they've got in Scotland, they've got 4 players strung across the midfield in Strachan, McClare, McAllister and David Robertson, really, who are all willing and able to get forward. And when Scotland get the ball, at least one of them is making a good, strong, positive forward run to create some sort of havoc for the Irish.
Malpass. That was good from McCoy. Showed himself well, picked it up. Ali McCoy's 27 goals in the league. In all competitions, indeed, for Rangers this year. Taking his time with this throw-in. Wright lays that off well, but Robinson can't keep it in. Danny Wilson through to Kevin Wilson, and then Black. This is better from Northern Ireland. Here's Worthington. Down for Mickey Hughes, but McPherson is across there and making sure that nothing comes of it.
But that typical of Northern Ireland's performance in the first half, Ian, in respect to nice little passing movements in midfield, opening up Scotland, getting the ball wide, but their cutting edge has just been missing in this first half. Sure, that's something that Billy Bingham will be trying to address in his half-time talk, looking for more punch up front.
Gallagher and Jury are being warmed up on the sidelines by Scotland. I wonder if they'll be introduced before half-time. I personally doubt it, but you never know. Here's Strachan looking for the chip. Robertson's got forward here. And there was just a moment there when you wondered if he might be on for a debut goal.
It's always a nice way to mark your international, isn't it? Especially if you're picked as a left-back. But that's a facet of his play that he uses at Glasgow Rangers. He loves these runs coming from the sort of left side into the inside left position. Just went a little bit too early.
Robertson gives it away this time. Very hard for a young man in his international debut. I mean, you must remember what it was like, Andy. I bet the old butterflies are going a bit,
That was a tester. I actually had a nightmare in my international debut for my first 2 matches. I never thought I'd get picked again, but fortunately, the manager at the time, I think it was Willie Ormond, stuck with me, and eventually I got it right.
Sometimes spectators forget that. It takes time to make those kind of adjustments. I seem to remember Kevin Keegan playing an awful lot of games for England before he really started buzzing. Now Taggart for Barnsley and Northern Ireland. Now Kevin Wilson up to Kingsley Black. Nothing wrong with some of Northern Ireland's approach work. It's the penetration and punch that they're missing. Black again. His runs across the field. Danny Wilson. Donald coming forward. Last 5 minutes of the first half. Rock gets it away, and McAllister's got a bit of room. Now Strachan. Stuart McKimmie picks out Robertson well. On the overlap is Malpass if he wants to use him. He doesn't, he plays it in. And in the end, Donachie gets it away. By the way, both teams can use all 5 substitutes if they want to. I think there are sure to be some at half-time. McAllister plays this one long, and McClare, and McKimmie almost there too on the far side. Good move again.
Well, David Robertson 2 minutes ago made that run. Stuart McKimmie showing that he's prepared to do it as well, and he's picked out with a peach of a pass. What Nigel Worthington does do, though, he just puts Stuart McKimmie off enough to distract him and make his first touch a bad one. But that was a super run forward.
Stuart McKimmie wasn't expecting to be playing tonight. Here's Strachan now for Scotland. Donachie is there. The pressure mounting again on Northern Ireland just before half-time. Strachan this time for once can't thread his ball through. Now McKimmie, and nobody reading it. David Livingston's down there on the touchline, and he can explain a little bit more about the substitute situation tonight.
Ian, what was happening there when Craig Brown was talking to Gordon Dury and Kevin Gallagher was part of the arrangement that both teams have agreed that at half-time, if they're going to bring on all 4 or 5 subs, they must bring on 2 at half-time. And I think that Craig Brown was just using the match as it was in progress to explain to them what they would be doing when they come on after half-time. But it looks almost certain that Kevin Gallagher and Gordon Dury will be introduced at half-time.
Can Scotland maybe grab a second before half-time? Pearson, Kimmie.
I just wonder if those are the two that are going off, Ian. Would it be someone like Gordon Strachan, who Andy Roxburgh knows what he can do, and Ali McCoist as well? They two, to me, look the most likely to be replaced. Not that they're playing badly, both playing excellently, but Andy Roxburgh will probably say, OK, I've seen enough from you two. I want to see a couple of lads that haven't got dozens of caps under their belt.
Yes, I think he wants to try and find out what depth he's got in his squad. A bit of room here for Kevin Wilson to operate in. Kingsley Black. Black looking to find Clark on the far post again. The quality of the cross isn't good enough, and easy for Scotland to patch that up.
I think an example there why Mal Donaghy hasn't scored in 70-odd internationals.
Mal Donaghy, he's come a long way though since he used to play for the Post Office Social Club in Northern Ireland. That's where it all started for him. Now here's Richard Gough, who's been around a bit. I told you he was born in Sweden. He also went to university in South Africa. Push there, and it's going to be Northern Ireland's free kick. Final few moments now of the first half. Worthington inside to Danny Wilson. To the outside of his foot, aimed towards Hughes. Scotland in the main have defended pretty well. Kevin Wilson. Colin Clark, at last they find him. The service hasn't been good to him so far. This looks a bit more promising though for Northern Ireland. But they're being forced backwards again, and that's a terrible ball from McDonald. And there might be something on for Scotland here if they can break quickly enough. Robertson. Gough has come forward again. We're in injury time now. And away from McDonald, who patches up the damage he himself caused in the first place.
Once again, though, the trouble for the Irish, trying to find a way through. Plenty possession in good areas. Scotland got men behind the ball, frustrated them, and eventually won the ball quite easily.
Malpass getting that away for Scotland. Then Kevin Wilson. And there goes the whistle to end the first half. Ali McCoist's 11th goal in a Scotland shirt is the difference between the sides. There's Magilton. Which is beginning to offer a little bit more now from that role. And Donaghy, a bit more confidence now about Northern Ireland.
And a bit more penetration about them, starting to get through that Scotland rear guard.
One or two chants in the stand just in front of us in our eyrie here of Northern Ireland, Northern Ireland. That's the score so far, though. Scotland still leading from Ali McCoist's goal early on.
Looking a bit frustrated, though, Scotland now. The passing's gone a little bit. The thing that was so good in the first half, the passing was very positive, very crisp. It's just gone a little bit. Northern Ireland putting them under a bit more pressure, denying them less and less space. And Scotland finding it hard now to penetrate them.
It's well worked back by Hughes, who's having quite a good second half now. Billy Bingham will be pleased with the way he's performed, I think. It's only his second cap. Now let's hear from David Livingstone down on the touchline.
Yes, Ian, Andy Roxburgh's come down, and he's reinforcing what Craig Brown was saying. They're asking Henry Smith to kick the ball instead of throwing it out to Maurice Malpass. Perhaps that will puzzle Andy Gray.
I do find it strange, David, actually. I thought they would be looking to pass the ball a lot more. where he's obviously decided that he's going to try his hand against the two big giant centre-backs that the Irish have got playing for them. I would have thought that would have suited them. What I think might help Scotland, though, is an extra body in midfield. They've only got the three in there at the moment, and that is where the Irish are getting the joy again.
Now here's Strachan. Still looks pretty sprightly. Keith Wright. And that's too long for fellow debutant David Robertson. Andy Roxburgh's record, there it is. Played 44, he's won 16, drawn 14, and lost 14. He's not got a bad record at all. He's got them to the World Cup and European Championship finals. Now, Hughes with the long ball. Could be another Scottish substitution coming up. I understand that Collins is being warmed up, John Collins of Southwick, and may come on for Brian McClare. Robertson with a long ball aimed towards Gallagher, but Worthington always was the boss there.
And I think they will be the boss as long as Scotland continue to knock those long probing passes in the air like that. The back four of Northern Ireland are very strong in that department.
And here's Strachan. Scotland looking for a bit more thrust here in the second half. Their moves tending to break down before they even get to the edge of the Northern Ireland penalty area at the moment. And most of the threat in the last quarter of an hour or so has come from Northern Ireland. Taggart, aimed towards Dowie. Now Kevin Wilson. Hughes making the run. After watch, he doesn't drift into an offside position. He doesn't, though. And Jotun was in there battling for it and wins a corner, much to the annoyance of McAllister.
I thought he had a case myself. I didn't think it was a corner, but Jim Magilton got his reward for persistence.
So maybe something else here for Northern Ireland. They've tested Henry Smith a couple of times. Here comes that corner kick. McDonald there on the far post, and the goalkeeper snatches it gratefully again. Offside, Jury. Spurs man winning his 16th cap tonight, and has got a good goal-scoring record lately. Much admired by Andy Roxburgh and very much in his European Championship plans. Don't read anything into the fact that Jury did not start tonight. Here's Worthington, the Sheffield Wednesday man. Good tackle by McPherson, but it drops for Kingsley Black, and that's not far away.
They're getting closer and closer, aren't they, Ian? They've really stepped up the tempo a little bit. Drop off again, allow the ball to be played in, and it just drops off to Kingsley Black, who thinks nothing of taking it first time. And Henry Smith relieved to see that one go wide. Really good spell from the Irish side.
Northern Ireland, by the way, haven't won at Hampden Park since 1974. 18 years ago. Of course, as we were explaining earlier, matches between the two sides have been a bit scarce over the last 8 years or so, but it's a long time, and the way things are going at the moment, they may not break that sequence, but only one goal in it. Strops in that penalty area on the turn, and Northern Ireland have to give away the corner. And of course it was a left-sided corner that produced the Scottish goal. Strachan to take it. McAllister on the near post. Just stole a march there, and this drops rather dangerously. McDonald gets it away, and anywhere will do in that situation. Now McAllister. McPherson. Now Gordon Jury. Still Jury. Northern Ireland with just about everybody back now. Scotland trying to find the combination. Gallagher looked to have been fouled. The referee played in a good advantage. Another corner.
That's better build-up, sorry. Nice and patient, looking to get runners down the side, get pacey men like Jury and Gallagher wide and into dangerous areas.
Another corner which McAllister takes. Drops around dangerously again. And Collins can't get it right.
Idea was good from the little man. Wanted to drag it from his left foot, looked to just bend it into the top corner, but just get a little bit underneath it. As it comes out to him here, can see what he's trying to do. Comes out to him on his left foot, drags it inside, and he's just looking to bend this one in this near corner. Just gets a little bit underneath it.
Northern Ireland side, which started with 7 First Division and 4 Second Division players in the team. And that's now 8 First Division players with Dowie on and Clark off. And Scotland getting in a bit of a mess there, but no problems in the end. McPherson out to Strachan. Strachan again, a very good diagonal ball to pick up Jury. He gets the cross in that might have dropped to Gallagher. Taggart did ever so well with the header. Scotland have just picked up the tempo again in the last 10 minutes or so. And they've ridden that little squall of pressure from Northern Ireland. Michael Hughes is dispossessed by Strachan. Hit for Jury. And is that going to be a penalty kick? Gallagher was brought down. Or there was certainly a case for thinking so, but not, says the referee.
Well, Joe Worrall looked long and hard at this one. It's a difficult one to call, and even after seeing it again, I'm not convinced. So I think probably referee right then. There is physical contact, there is some contact, but he does make genuine attempt here, Nigel, wanting to go for the ball. They both go in together, both make contact with the ball, and I think probably then the officials smack on.
Experienced official Joe Worrall. That was the man who went down Coventry City's Kevin Gallagher. Strachan again, tigerish in the tackle, dispossesses Worthington. Manchester United couldn't have dreamt when they let him go off to Leeds United that he'd end up being Footballer of the Year and being the inspiration. There's tonight's attendance on the Finn side, no doubt about it, 13,651. But of course there'll be bigger crowds to come at Hampden when the World Cup campaign gets underway. Hughes, that's a good cross from him. Smith there was in no man's land for a moment, and it was lucky that Kingsley Black hadn't advanced a bit further.
That was an absolutely brilliant ball in from the young man.
Scotland and Keith Wright have drifted offside, and that will be his last involvement, right, on his debut. He's going to come off any moment. Little John Robertson of Hearts is preparing to come on. Here he is, the perennial leading goal scorer for Heart of Midlothian, John Robertson. And now he's right. Has he got a last chance to do something here? Feeds it back to Jury. Still Jury. Out to Strachan. Strachan, who again has looked a quality operator here tonight. And the substitution will now be made. And what's the verdict, Andy, do you think, on Keith Wright's debut?
Well, I'm quite pleased with his debut. I think the young man's put plenty of effort into it, so some good touches. Hasn't really had any chances, goal-scoring wise, to impress. But I think he'll go off very happy with his performance. I'm sure his manager will.
The man who comes on is John Robertson for his 6th cap. He scored 14 goals this season for Hearts. He's so consistent. Actually was in the starting lineup for the San Marino game. Now here's Collins. Did well there. Jury with the shot, and Jury! Well, that was a fine effort from him. It might have been a bit further away than it looked from our angle, but the replay will reveal all.
But it's a passing movement again, isn't it, Ian? They don't look to knock it forward, but they pass their way in. He's a bit unlucky because it gets a bobble, but that's very close.
Good effort this from Jury off the outside of his foot, and it wasn't so very far away. He's been in good form in the Scotland jersey, has Gordon Jury. Gough playing this one forward to Gallagher. Now here's Strachan again to McAllister. Now little John Robertson. Twisting and turning, but not getting the cross right. And that's good composed defending by Nigel Worthington.
I do feel that Scotland are back in control of this game now. Started to pass the ball a lot better. There's the one thing they didn't do early in the second half when Northern Ireland had their good spell. But look, little balls like that into the front man's feet. That's what they've been lacking, and that's what they're starting to do now.
Offside. Won't count anyway. Jury.
But again, it's a great ball, isn't it? On the diagonal, fractionally offside, but Gordon Jury's shown he's prepared to hit volleys from anywhere.
Northern Ireland about to make a substitution. They're going to bring on Michael O'Neill of Dundee United, and it's Kevin Wilson who's coming off. Kevin Wilson, who's beavered hard, and Michael O'Neill, who was a sensation as a teenager when he started with Newcastle United, cracking in goals right, left and centre, and never quite built on that, and is a bit on the fringe with Northern Ireland at the moment. Nine minutes to go. Scotland still leading by 1-0. Goal scored by the now departed from the pitch, Ali McCoist. There we are, shots on target. Scotland have had 8 and Northern Ireland 3, and that rather reflects the balance of the play.
And I think Andy Roxburgh will be very pleased when he sees a stat like that. 8 shots actually hitting the target. That's a good ratio.
Taggart gets this away for Northern Ireland. They did have quite a good spell at the start of the second half, but it's rather petered out, in all honesty. It's quite clear what Northern Ireland have got to find, and that's more punch.
I think that's blatantly obvious. We said very early in the game that they have got a talented midfield quartet in there, but when you've got talented players like that, you do need someone who's clinical up front, who's going to get you goals from what your midfield can produce for you.
Strachan now, a bit of banter with the crowd. He's enjoying himself, isn't he?
Can't speak too highly of him, I really can't.
Footballing Peter Pan, I guess you might call him, but I know that Howard Wilkinson, his manager at Leeds, thinks he can go on to 40. He really does. I'm not arguing.
No, neither am I. Bundles of energy, isn't he? even here we are, last 10 minutes of an international friendly. You might have thought little Gordon would coast. He hasn't. He's worked as hard, if not harder than anybody. And here he is involved again.
Here's Gordon Durie, who's been quite lively since he came on. Tottenham man, who's a strike partner at White Hart Lane, Gary Lineker, left out by England, or rested, we ought to say, really, by England against France tonight. This is aimed towards Durie. Robertson's almost there. Worthington got it away. Robertson. The Rangers left back does well to get the cross in. That's the other number 3, Worthington. He's had a good match in that Northern Ireland defence, Worthington. Michael O'Neill. Forward for Hughes. Now, can they create something this time? O'Neill. Out to Donachie. This is hit long. Dowie's in there. Smith punches it away. And a good challenge from Malpass. And while that was going on, Gerry Taggart has gone down injured.
But just before that, another piece of good, positive goalkeeping from Henry Smith in the goal. They come into a ruck of players, but was determined to make the ball his own, and he came out and he took everything. That was good goalkeeping there.
There's Billy Bingham, who was once Andy Roxburgh's manager for 2 games played by a team of European coaches in Yugoslavia. And Andy says that Billy gave him 7 out of 10, 5 for the first match and 2 for the second. But I think he's quite an admirer of Andy Roxburgh, because the story goes that he once offered him a job as assistant at Everton.
He's very, very well respected, Andy Roxburgh, throughout the footballing world.
Billy Bingham, who now coaches for FIFA. He actually coaches the coaches, so to speak, making trips to places like Jordan and Kuwait. Apparently he was there 6 weeks before the invasion. I wonder what he's making of this Northern Ireland performance tonight. Now, they've defended well, and this fellow who's been injured, Gerry Taggart, has had another quite solid game for them, as has McDonald there. The problems have been further forward.
Yeah, I think the back four's performed fairly well. I think the midfield players have passed the ball about very well. Where they have lacked punch and zip has been in their top line. And until they get that sorted, then they're always going to have... Well, you can see them having problems scoring an awful lot of goals.
Steve Morrow of Arsenal just preparing to come on if Taggart can't go on, but I think he will be all right. Here's Maurice Malpass at Dundee United. Says he's very happy there, and can see him ending his career there. Says, I've been treated ever so well there. I don't want to go anywhere else. And we are going to have another substitution, and Steve Morrow is going to come on. Steve Morrow, the 21-year-old Arsenal man, who played for Bangor in the Irish League when he was still at school, came through the Arsenal youth system, and Taggart is coming off now. Well, that's a sensible precaution, really.
Irish substitution off is for Gerry Taggart.
Malpass's free kick, hit long towards Durie. Not very long to go now. Scotland still 1 up. To be more precise with you, 3 minutes to go.
And I think a Scottish performance, looking at them first, that Andy Roxburgh will be very pleased about. I thought they played very well in the first half. The new formation looked to suit them. They had to change it a little bit second half, and Ireland had a good spell. But then Scotland have come back into the game now, and have looked very happy when they've been passing the ball about. But for Northern Ireland, well, we've said it all, haven't we, about them? Very tidy on the ball, confident at the back, but really need to find someone to score them goals.
Here's the first touch. Steve Morrow. He's not really made the breakthrough yet at Arsenal. He's been out on loan to Reading and this season to Watford. It's nodded on quite neatly towards Dowie, and I just wondered if there might have been a moment of late danger and drama for Scotland there. Pass by accident retains possession almost. Here's McAllister. Now Northern Ireland. Kingsley Black, who has not figured too much in the second half. I think Northern Ireland might have been looking for a wee bit more from him.
Yeah, it's been difficult for him, though. I think they've tended to come out this left side with Michael Hughes more often than not, and it's been difficult for Kingsley to get involved in the action.
What can Northern Ireland do here? It's late. They've got to produce something pretty quick. And here is Black. Well, he almost might have heard us with that kind of reply.
It would have been typical, wouldn't it, after saying how quiet he'd been, if this one had ended up in the top corner. But he hits it very well, just off the outside of his foot. Doesn't really trouble Henry Smith.
23 years of age now, Kingsley Black. This is his 20th cap tonight. So it looks like Henry Smith is going to keep a clean sheet on his return to the side, which will please him no end. Done nothing wrong at all and made a couple of good saves too in the second half. Now here's Dowie. Can he get the cross in? He can. And then O'Neill, this is dropping dangerously, and good covering back from Gordon Durie.
Yeah, brilliant. That's what front men have to do these days, especially people that play wide in. You've got to be prepared to work back towards your own goal. Had Gordon Durie not done that, Ireland were walking the ball into the net. That's good defending.
Yes, every coach will love him for that. Ian Dowie, that was a good run from him. Yeah, Kingsley Black again to Michael O'Neill, the Dundee United man. Little knot of fans trying to lift Northern Ireland as they made the journey over. And given away by Danny Wilson. We're in injury time now, and it looks like Scotland are on their way to victory here. In this first meeting between the sides since 1984, Northern Ireland's record has been good in the matches just before that. Indeed, Scotland had only won one of the last 7 before the break in fixtures. Referee taking glances at his watch. It cannot be very much longer. I think we're just playing the time really added on now for Taggart's injury. Now this is the last chance for Northern Ireland, I think. O'Neill and Donachie trying to work room for a cross. They've got to get it over a bit sharpish. Donachie shadowed out of it by Collins. And Scotland have it back. And the game may be up now for Northern Ireland. 2 minutes into injury time. Good surging run from Durie. Finds Strachan over on this far side. On the overlap is McAllister. And the cross will only trouble the advertising hoarding and the photographers behind the goal.
He's looked a good player, Gary McAllister, when he's been in possession. been one of the best players for Scotland tonight in possession of the ball. Would like to see him, would like to see Andy Roxburgh try and get him involved more and more in international games like that. Get him on the ball as much as possible.
Yeah, he's a key man, McAllister, I think not only for Scotland, of course, but for Leeds Championship bid. Stylish, elegant midfield player. Looks the part, usually. Here's Hughes. Now deep into injury time. We've had 3 minutes of it. And maybe a chance here for Scotland. It's 3 against 3 at the moment. But Northern Ireland are getting man back. Strachan. Switch to the far side to Gough, and just a little bit too long, and he's forced wide. Now Robertson. Strachan again, who possibly has been the pick of the Scotland side tonight. And as all that goes on, the referee blows his whistle. Scotland have beaten Northern Ireland by 1-0 in this friendly. The goal scored by Ali McCoist. There he is in the first half. His 11th goal for Scotland in what's been a superb season for him. Billy Bingham, well, his side was certainly not submerged. They defended well, but didn't show very much in terms of penetration or punch. That's something he has to work on. And here's possibly the man of the match, the amazing 35-year-old Gordon Strachan. And a reminder of the final score again. Here at Hampden Park, it's Scotland 1, Northern Ireland 0.
Welcome back to Wembley shortly. If you've just come in, won't tell you the score. It was our live match a little earlier. We'll have a look at the highlights in a moment or so from England, France. Gordon, Scotland, Northern Ireland, disappointing second half. It rather tailed away, didn't it?
Well, the match wasn't a classic. I mean, Northern Ireland stepped it up a little bit in the second half and made a bit of a game of it, but a useful exercise nevertheless for Andy Roxburgh. Henry Smith, they're only taking 2 goalkeepers to Sweden at the summer for the European Championships. Henry Smith come in, gave a competent performance. Davy Robertson, who's been playing well all season with Glasgow Rangers, I thought played quite well.
I must say I like him. I thought he was a big plus tonight. He has such a lovely way about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's very athletic type, and at international level he's very pacey, which is of course very important for a defender, although he played in a more attacking role tonight. But throughout the game tonight, I think the player that impressed me most was Gordon Strachan. I mean, at 35 years of age, he's going to be a very important player for Scotland and Sweden in the summer. And of course, Gary McAllister as well. Those two look as if they've got a terrific understanding going at international level. Obviously, that comes from playing at Leeds United.
You groaned a little bit when Keith Wright came off. Yes,
well, I think, you know, if you're bringing Keith Wright in to give him a chance, making your debut, why not play him for the full 90 minutes? You know, I don't really see the sense in taking him off when you're giving him a chance. They brought on John Robertson. I mean, John Robertson's played on 1 or 2 occasions before. Why not give Keith Wright 90 minutes and let's have a proper look at him?
Both sides in the end actually brought on too many people, didn't they? It's always going to happen, isn't it, when you get into that situation?
Yeah, particularly in friendlies when there's players coming off and players coming on. And I felt the game lost its way a bit with substitutions tonight, and at the end of the day, you never really knew who was coming or going and who was playing, and both sides lost their shape a little bit through that.
1-0, Ali McCoist, the goal scorer. We'll hear from him in a moment. First, Andy Roxburgh, who's with David Livingston.
Well, for us, it was a useful exercise. It was necessary that, that we played a match now, getting the players back together. From the game point of view, we're pleased that we won it. That's important to have that statistic behind us. And I was able to try out 1 or 2 players, 2 new lads in particular.
So what were the particularly pleasing aspects of the game for you?
Well, the 2 new lads came in and showed a great attitude. They worked very hard, and obviously we'll be keeping an eye on them. We were also able to bring in 1 or 2 of our other fringe players and give them a run. That, of course, disrupts the game, and it doesn't help for a thrilling match. But as I said, it was a useful exercise for me. There were some things, positive things, that came from it.
You mentioned the disruption element of a game like that, almost like a training exercise at times. How difficult is that for you in your build-up to Sweden? I mean, could you do without that element? How can you G the players up, especially for it?
Well, there's no real way around that. I mean, what you have to do here is you have to play games, and you have to, as I say, build. We've got to try and peak when we get to Sweden. And all we're doing at the moment is that was the first step. Next step up is that we play against Finland. And I'm hopeful against Finland that we'll get a really good atmosphere, because if Gordon Strachan's fit, he will play and captain the team, and it will be his 50th cap. And I think that would be something for everyone to celebrate and to enjoy.
Well, no experiment there with Gordon Strachan, but will you be tempted to experiment even further, some more fringe players coming into the proceedings?
Well, I'm open-minded about it at the moment, obviously. I mean, it's one of these things we'll just be looking again and we'll be seeing what we can do. We obviously miss people like Paul McStay was a late pull-out, and that was a problem for us. And, of course, Stuart McCall. So you've got two important midfield players who are missing there. But it gave us the chance to look at some other people. As I said, it was a working exercise for us and useful.
Ali, a different kind of game to play in for the players. How awkward was it to change your style?
It was, we knew beforehand it was a typically British game, playing Northern Ireland, and most of the players obviously coming from the British Isles, and that was the way it worked out. It was a sort of British game, hard, physical, and not a lot given away.
And of course, the plan was upset a little bit by Paul McStay being pulled out towards the end. Did that cause a big change?
Not really. Stuart McKimmie came in and he did a very good job. It was a bit unfortunate Paul got the injury in training and didn't feel 100%, and quite rightly just pulled him out before the game.
Now, the goal, it wasn't the best you've ever scored. Does it matter to you how you score goals?
Not at all. I think it was nice because we've been working on corner kicks and free kicks in training, and it was a great ball from Gary McAllister, and Big Davey got the flick on, and I was just fortunate to be in the right place at the right time.
It must have been disappointing, though, not to go on and capitalise and score more goals, and for you to be taken off at half-time. Do you just have to accept that in these games?
Oh yes, David, I think it was inevitable that we're going to make changes at half-time, and during the match it was an exercise where Andy Roxer and Billy Bingham obviously wanted to try a few different things and use as many players as possible, which is the way it worked out. I think I knew beforehand that we're only going to get maybe 45 minutes, so I'm quite pleased to have scored the goal in the 45 minutes.
And your new young partner, Keith Wright, how did he do?
He did very well. I felt he acquitted himself quite well. He's got a nice touch, and I think he enjoyed his first international. I'm sure it won't be his last.
Goal scorer tonight, Ali McCoist. I can't believe he's been around as long as he has. There's not a mark on him, is there? Far too pretty for a centre forward.
You're looking for a centre
really
forward,
is.
but he's a brave centre forward nevertheless. I mean, he gets into a lot of goal scoring positions, terrific finisher. And if you watch a lot of Scottish television, which you do in Sky, and he gets into a lot of positions for near post headers, which you've got to be brave because there's boots flying in those situations. And well, he doesn't have scored a lot of goals.
Yes,
I just hope his run continues for Sweden this summer.
Yep. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. 1-0 the final score then at Hampden Park. Highlights coming up from the match at Wembley between England and France. And before we go tonight, we'll tell you how you can win a couple of tickets or more to see England play France at the European Championships in Sweden this coming June. One result that we haven't given you so far tonight: the Republic of Ireland 0, Wales 1. Real surprise that. Mark Pembridge, the goal scorer, Ireland's first home defeat for 26 matches. We will be going back to Wembley after this break to see the highlights of our live match that was here earlier on Sky Sports, England against France.